Hey all, I've been talking in my design diaries a bit about the random character creation system, which is new to Realms of Pugmire. And I thought I would kind of actually walk you through that and show you kind of how easy it is and how it all hangs together. So I have my official Pugmire dice from the first edition here, and we will kind of go through it. This is the current playtest document at the time I'm recording this. If you just backed this or you're about to back this on the Kickstarter, the version you're looking may look a little different from what I'm showing here, and of course the final edition will probably look different again because we're going through iterative playtesting. But this is a pretty good representative example of what it looks like. And this is called template character creation because while it is random options, you can also just pick and choose, and that's by design. If you just go, well, I rolled this, but this makes more sense, and you could pick it, that's absolutely fine, and it doesn't change the system in any way. I'm going to do completely random character creation to show you kind of how a character looks like at the end. So we'll start with upbringings. If you're familiar with first edition, that's basically what we're calling breeds now, and I'll talk more about that in another video. But it's a 1 die 8 roll, so go ahead and roll that. And I get a 6, which means I have a runner. So that means I get to add a +2 to my dexterity, and I write down the trick speedy runner. And as you can see, basically, this actually tells you just exactly everything you need to do, and that's by design. Now I can go to either step B6, which is concepts, or C, family. And this is an optional section. Basically, if you want to go even faster, we're not going to go through this, but if you do, you basically roll a d4 and it gives you a 1 sentence description of your concepts, and it chooses your background and calling for you in a way that kind of that synthesize well. And then when you get to those later steps, you just write down the information from that background and calling. We're actually going to do those randomly, but know that this gives you basically 4 more or less pre-made characters. Then you just write down the appropriate information for all of those. But we are going to go to family names. And again, you can pick any family name you want to, but I have 20 kind of popular names here. So we're going to go, we are a Pyrenees. So our family is Pyrenees. Okay. I forgot to write runner on my character sheet, so let me go ahead and do that real quick. And you can see this character sheet is still first edition, so it has some older information on it. Again, playtest, early days, but you get a sense of how similar the stuff's going to be. Okay, so next, backgrounds. And we have a soldier. So already we're trying to get a sense of a character concept here. We'll first write down my skills, which are intimidate and traverse. And then for my rucksack, I have an insignia of rank and a set of common clothes. It also mentions a plastic track. This is something that's going to be new to this edition, where money is actually kept in a separate chart. I don't have that for this character sheet, so I'll just write down here a few coins. And then, of course, I had the trick. Rank has its privileges. So again, I'm already kind of starting to see a concept. The fact that I'm a Pyrenees, which is normally a very strong dog, but he's a runner. Maybe he was trained when he grew up to be much more of a runner, and especially if he was a soldier, maybe that part of the reason why his training as a soldier was to be more of a kind of a dexterous, ranged character rather than the more traditional for his family. So we'll see how things pan out, but that's one possible way that this could already kind of hold together. So next is the calling. 1 die 6 roll. And that is 5, which is Ratter. So that's interesting. And of course, he's level 1. Ratter, I write down 1 die 8 for stamina dice. I have 8 stamina points. I mark down Constitution Dexterity as my primary abilities. And then for the rucksack, I have 1 set of light armor, a hooded lantern. Oops, jump down one there. Rations, 50 feet of rope, and a set of Ratter's tools. And these are gained under unusual circumstances, so I will scroll back. This is one of the few times you actually leave this chart. Under unusual circumstances, so I'll roll a die 6 for that. It's given to you by a mentor and friend. Oops. All right, so scroll back down to character creation section. So next step, we're F4, Ratter Concepts. So now these are the kind of various builds, if you will, to use video game terminology, because the whole point of Pugmire has always been that you can do a wide variety of things inside of a calling, and this actually kind of showcases that a bit more, makes it clearer that there are actually a wide number of things you can do. In this case, I am an acrobatic performer. Again, very interesting with the Pyrenees family. So we have balance and perform. And we add a club and a sling to the rucksack, which I will just add here. And normally at this point, actually, I'll just put it here for right now. I could also put them in my rucksack. I'm just kind of for ease putting them there. And then my tricks are simple weapon aptitude, martial weapon aptitude, light armor aptitude, and second wind. Then we go on to ability modifiers. And as a note, ability modifiers are just that. There are no ability scores anymore in Pugmire. It's just everything from -3 to +5. So we're just putting the pluses and minuses directly in here. I can pick and choose, but again, if I want to be random, so I'm going to do absolutely that. So I'm going to roll D6. I rolled a 2, which means that I put the +2 into my first listed ability modifier. So that's here. So that gives me a +4 dexterity, which makes sense for a runner Ratter. So that actually works out pretty well. Then +1 in the other one, so that's going to be my constitution. And then I roll a D4. And I start from strength, counting down, skipping any primary abilities. So that's 1. I roll a 3, so it's 1, 2, 3. So that's wisdom, and then I put a +1 in that ability. I do this again, starting from strength. 2, so it's 1, 2. So it's -1. I put that there. And the other 2 by default are 0s. So I have a character who's very dexterous, very constitution, not too smart, and a little wise, which again actually maps out pretty well for a Ratter. Then we move on to personality. The ideals, again, the personality traits are a little different than they were in the original edition. So the text here changed, but now it's I am a good dog because. And then 6 is I help the unfortunate. My bond, I'm inspired by my bonds to the Church of Man. That's interesting. And then finally, no matter what, I just can't stop stealing small things I find, which makes sense for a Ratter. And then the final touches. Review the rules for your tricks and spells. We didn't have any spells. We would just kind of go through here and review these rules. I do know Speedy Runner increases my speed. I know that rank has privileges means that I can spend a fortune to know people who are the same military unit as me. These are all aptitudes, and the second wind means I can regain stamina points during a conflict. Add or subtract your constitution modifier from your stamina points. So my constitution modifier is +1, so that goes up to 9. I have spellcaster. I don't have to worry about that, but if it would tell me how to do my spellcasting slots. Write down +1 as your proficiency bonus. Write down your dexterity for your initiative, which is +4, so that's very useful. Write down 30, 40 for your speed, or 35, 50 if you have speedy runner. I do have speedy runner, so I'll go ahead and do 35, 50 there. Calculate my defense. I have light armor in my rucksack, so that means I have 11 plus my dexterity. And it does say with light armor and light armor aptitude. So that means my armor is a whopping 15. My defense is 15, which is really nice. Write down the attack and damage for any weapons in your rucksack, as well as any damaging spells. I would look those up. I'm not going to because it's a little hard to find in this sheet. And then name your dog. I'm going to go with Silas Pyrenees. And so, I mean, that's it. I mean, 10 minutes, and already I've got a character here. And really, the only thing that doesn't kind of gel, quote unquote, is the fact that the family's Pyrenees. So I'm thinking maybe he was adopted by the Pyrenees family. So he maybe was made fun of for not being as tall or strong as his brothers and sisters. And so he kind of doubled down on being sneaky and dexterous. Maybe was a bit of a prankster. But joined the family tradition of going into the army. So grew up in soldier, and then ultimately left and found his faith because he realized that he didn't want to be a warrior. And so instead his faith saved him. And so now he helps other people explore the Friends of Man, or explore the ruins of man. So he's not a criminal. And in fact, given that his radical tools are by a mentor and friend, maybe that's someone else in the Church of Man who taught him, here's how to recover this knowledge to grow our faith. That's off in my head. I mean, maybe you would rephrase that differently, but the point is that even though it's completely random, there's a cohesive character, and it's maybe not the character I would have made up, but now there's an interesting character there. So I'm hoping that now that you're maybe looking at the manuscript or thinking about it, the idea that random character creation is not something that's horrible or punitive or makes quote-unquote broken characters, but rather is a good way to find creativity and making unusual concepts really work for you. So this is designed specifically to help you with that, and I hope you guys give it a shot.